We're going to start. Okay. And we're going to start in just a couple minutes.
We have a couple of minutes
Yeah.
after 9:04.
Sure.
Notice.
You want to do? Oh, sorry. We'll be starting in just about a minute. No, I don't. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. I would like to remind the commissioners, unmute yourself, state your name when speaking, and also for voting on any measure today, we'll be using the voting touchscreen, but I think it will not get displayed.
It will not get displayed.
It will not get displayed. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call to order the May 21st, 2024 Senior Citizen Commission meeting at 2:06 p.m. Do we have roll call?
Let the record show that all commissioners are present except Commissioners Angel, Koblenz, and Stern.
Okay, and we do so that with four of us, there is a quorum, so we can proceed. Commissioner Handel, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, there, I see our speaker has just walked in, Jessica Burley. You're just in time. So we are at, no, you're right on time. We're at item 4, special presentations and proclamations. And I'd like to introduce, if you're ready, Jessica Burley, who is the stroke program coordinator at Scripps Health in Encinitas.
Sorry, I'm new here. All
All right, yeah, go ahead, and we'll get started with the first slide if you have it. There we go, perfect. Hi, so I'm Jessica Burley. I'm your local stroke program coordinator here at Scripps Encinitas. So we're just gonna go through real briefly kind of what you should know about stroke. So we can go ahead and get started on the next slide. So these are some staggering stroke statistics. Usually, annually, we have about 800,000 strokes per year. It is the leading cause of disability. And unfortunately, you know, survivors, there's 6.5 million stroke survivors, and someone with a stroke happens about every 40 seconds. Women, unfortunately, are leading strokes, and I think this is generally because women tend to live a little longer than men, so they're at risk at the end of their lives. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And it tends to be higher in the African American population as well as the Asian population. So we'll go to the next slide. So this is just our stroke certified hospitals. We are here in Encinitas, so we are a primary stroke center, but we also have our sister sites in La Jolla, which is a comprehensive stroke center. That means that they would take more complex strokes that would require an embolectomy, or if you needed bigger neurosurgeries, they would go there. And then Mercy and Chula Vista are also our stroke centers. And then I did want to just point out, we'll go to the next slide. No matter where you are, if you think you're having signs or symptoms of a stroke, or you're recognizing any signs of symptoms of a stroke, really our whole county works together. We just had a meeting last week, and all of these are stroke centers all over San Diego County. And we all work together to make sure we get the best for stroke care. So even if you're out shopping in Temecula or, you know, out in Coronado, wherever you are, the best thing to do is to call 911, because that is going to get the medical services to you the fastest, but also you cut the line. I always tell people, I can't tell you what's going to be happening in my emergency room, and I can't tell you if there's 100 people ahead of you, but I do know if you call 911, you go to the front of the line. So I think that's the big takeaway here. We'll go to the next slide. So what is a stroke? There's two big types of strokes. It's usually either there's a blockage, which is called our ischemic stroke, and then there's a blood burst in your brain, so that's called a hemorrhagic stroke. So we'll go to the next slide. And here's images in a brain. We're not going to have quizzes or anything, but essentially 85% of strokes are that either embolic or thrombotic, and that's kind of the clot, and we're able to treat that with either thrombolytics or an invasive procedure where they kind of go up into your brain through your groin and kind of suck that out. And that is what they do at the CSC. Yeah.
What's the amount of time you need to get in to get the treatment for that stroke? I know there's like a window.
Yeah, exactly. Great question. So there's only a small window. So that's why we always are saying to call 911. We can only give that drug out to 4.5 hours from your last known well. So we're going to go over an example later, but essentially, if you're fine at 11 a.m., and then maybe you can't speak, maybe that's your symptom, but then someone sees you at noon and you're unable to say what's wrong with you, we have to go by the time that someone saw you normal, because you're not able to say, I was feeling fine a couple minutes, you know, maybe you were fine up until 11:30, maybe you were fine up until 12:50 or 11:59, but we want to know when someone can verify it, just because this drug is so high risk to kind of break up that clot that we really can only give it out to the 4.5 hour mark. Otherwise, the risk outweighs the benefits.
What would happen if they put it in, give it to you late?
You're more likely to, essentially, because that's a clot in your brain, so it's dying tissue. So if they give that clot busting medication to kind of break that up, it's more likely to kind of break the vessel too and convert into that hemorrhagic stroke, which is much harder to treat and much higher mortality, higher morbidity. So we want to break up that clot, but we want to keep your veins and vasculature intact as well.
So 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours. We can, for the thrombectomy out at La Jolla, and we kind of call that our larger strokes. We can only go into certain vessels at this point, so we can treat those sometimes out to 24 hours, but those are very specific stroke symptoms. I love the engagement, guys. All right, next slide. So this is what we teach kind of all around the county, is what we call be fast symptoms. And I'm going to hand out, because I don't want to make you cheat, but maybe we could pass a few of those out here. And we'll start up here. So this is, be fast. We want everyone to be able to recognize signs and symptoms of a stroke because it does affect your brain. A lot of times you're not going to be able to recognize what the symptoms might be. But more importantly, we want you to be able to recognize it in other people. So maybe it's not you, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's, someone you see on the street. So really, these are the symptoms. We always teach it as an acronym B FAST. So B is for balance. If you're all of the sudden lose your balance or coordination. I had one patient come in and he was at Costco and he just all of a sudden wasn't able to walk. And that is a sign of a stroke. Eyes, any sudden blurred or double vision. Again, usually the key word here is sudden. This is a sudden attack similar to like a heart attack, only it's a brain attack. F is facial drooping, so one side of your face comes down. Some patients come in and their first symptom that they recognize is they're drinking coffee in the morning and their coffee just falls down their face because they're not looking in the mirror. But all of a sudden, that's the symptom, is that, they don't have that facial control anymore. Arm, really it's arm or leg, any numbness or weakness, and usually in the hospital we would always have them hold up their arms. If one is just falling or they're not able to move it at all, that is the kind of weakness that is really a big red flag that we're gonna probably be treating you some way with a stroke. Speech. The next is slurred speech or unable to speak or difficult to understand. So this could be just all of a sudden your speech is slurred, almost like they've been drinking. Unable to speak, they just look like they want to say something, but they can't get the words out. Or difficult to understand. Some patients, it's what's called aphasia, and they say words, but none of them are connected. It's kind of like a word salad, and they think that they're speaking clearly, but no one can understand what the heck they're saying. And then, so if any of those symptoms, we want you to call 911, and I said that earlier. We want you to get the care that you, as fast as possible, because of your question exactly. We can only treat 4.5 hours, so we don't want you to drive past 3 emergency rooms because you like Scripps Encinitas. I'm very flattered, but we don't want you to waste time. So go ahead to the next slide. So I get sometimes also what is a transient ischemic attack. And so really it is a small stroke, and what they think happens is that your body is able to break down that small clot, and then as time goes on, usually within the first 24 hours, your symptoms totally resolve. But that really is a big warning sign, because those are the patients that go on to have a stroke within the next 48 hours. So those are the people we want to come in still. We want to work you up. I always tell my patients, that's the time to get all of your risk factors in check. So if you have diabetes that's maybe not well controlled, or hypertension that you didn't want to take metoprolol, like now is the time to get all of those risk factors under control so that we prevent, hopefully, a future stroke. And then 9 to 17% of TIAs will go on to have a stroke in the next 90 days. All right, next slide. And so that's kind of the ischemic side of the equation. That was the 85% of the strokes that we talked about at the beginning. But what are the signs of a hemorrhagic stroke? Because those are they're the more difficult to treat. Those are the sudden severe headache. A lot of times they'll call it like a thunderclap headache, the worst headache of anyone's life. Sometimes it's nausea, vomiting, and just really like lethargic. All of a sudden they're talking to you and they just want to go to sleep. And so that is when that hemorrhage happens and it's bleeding in your brain and kind of causing swelling in there. So that is also the kind of stroke that we want to treat as well, as best we can in the hospital. Next slide. And so who's in increased risk for stroke? Increased age, unfortunately, every 10 years after the age of 55, your chances double. So if you're 1% at 55, then it would be 2% at 65. So it doubles every year until the age of 80. Gender, we already talked about a little bit. Women are more at risk. If you've ever had a previous stroke, you're more at risk. Race, we talked about at the beginning. African American and Asians are at higher risk. Hypertension, if the hypertension is uncontrolled, I always say if you've got it under control, we're actually in good shape. Atrial fibrillation is highly associated with stroke, and so we really, if you're having that atrial fibrillation, we want you anticoagulated, so hopefully you will not form that clot to kind of shoot up to the brain. And then high cholesterol, we want that treated as well with a statin. Diabetes, there's a lot of evidence about these newer drugs that prevent stroke, even though they're really hard to get. We're hopeful to get our stroke started on those when they come into the hospital. And of course, cigarette smoking. And I think along with cigarette smoking, like if heavy alcohol, drugs, meth, that kind of thing, is also puts you at an increased risk. Next slide. So how can you control the risk? It's really about taking your risk factors and getting them to where almost normal is. So if your blood pressure is just kind of hanging out at 130, it used to be that the doctors would just kind of let that ride. Really, they want you to be more aggressive. That's time to start treating to keep you at that lower level so that you're not at high risk for these stroke situations. Diabetes, we really want drugs to kind of get you down where your A1C is less than 7. And then cholesterol, your LDL is what we look at in stroke. It's one of the 4. And we want that under 100. If you've had a stroke before, we really want it under 70. So if that LDL number is elevated, it might be time for a statin. Okay, next slide. And so I just want to spend a minute on the chain of survival. I know I've already talked about this, but activation of 911 decreases time to stroke care because not only do you cut the waiting room, you go to the front of the line, but what we do in our emergency room is what's called a pit stop, and everybody meets you at one particular bed in our emergency room. So that means lab is there, CT, the doctor, the nurse, we're going to check your blood sugar. And it's about the fastest medical care you'll ever see because everybody not attacks, but like kind of does their part really quickly and then whisks you off to CT because remember there's 2 types of stroke. And if we treat the ischemic, just assume everybody has that ischemic stroke, we would worry about the hemorrhagic. So the CT gives us a quick image of your brain to make sure there's no hemorrhage in there. And then we can treat you as the ischemic side with the thrombolytic. 911 is only activated in 50% of all stroke codes in San Diego County. And I can say 100% that Encinitas is no different. I've heard every excuse in the book. They don't want their neighbors to see. They don't want to make a big scene. A lot of people are just very reluctant to call 911. And I think Encinitas has easy parking. I think that's a factor for whatever reason. They're like, I can just drive down there. I'm 2 blocks away. So it really is important if you think you're having a stroke or someone around you, just call that 911 because you do just get it's so critical every minute. We want best outcomes for you, and the faster we treat you, the more likely you're not going to be disabled. And then the most critical information is that last known well we touched upon a little earlier. I think the next slide has an example. Yeah, so this is a quiz. So 81-year-old male goes to bed after watching TV around 11 p.m. He felt completely normal without any issues. He wakes up at 2 a.m. to use the bathroom and has right-sided weakness. His wife believes he's having a stroke and calls 911. When was his last known well? 11, yeah. So again, bedtime is a tricky time because you're sleeping. So we have 3 hours, so we want to get you right to the emergency room, and hopefully we still have time to treat you in that 4.5-hour window. All right, I think that's probably it, but any questions?
This is Commissioner Hanway. I want to thank you. That was really very informative, and I have 2 questions for you. The first one has to do with when you were describing the risk factors and how the risk increases as you age. And this is kind of a personal question. You stopped at 80. So what happens after 80? Does it continue to increase?
I imagine
levels off.
it's just maxed out at that age.
Okay. Okay.
But if you've gotten to 5 or 6% per year, you would probably stay at that
Okay.
5 or 6%.
And my other question is wondering if this very informative little talk, if you take it on the road, if you'd be available to come to a group. I live in an over 55 community, not far from Scripps, and
We love to. We've gone to certain, sometime, like we've gone to Glenbrook. We've gone to different areas, but I am happy to take it on a road show.
okay, that's great. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
just feel free to email me. It's on here.
Thanks. Yes. Hi, Commissioner Stern. I'm looking at your, it looks like a cool magnet, I think. I have a question. So, for instance, both my mother-in-law, she had TIAs, and then my mom had a stroke, and luckily I was there that night, because usually I wasn't. So the first thing I did was ran and got her an aspirin, okay? Like literally, because I have Parkinson's and probably going to die soon anyway, but I literally keep this in my pocket in every piece of clothing I wear, because it's very important, as far as I know, if you have a stroke or a heart attack, to take an aspirin right away. But the problem is, if you have the stroke, you can't get to it. It doesn't do any good. So I was just thinking maybe that's something you might want to maybe add to your cool thing. You know what I mean? And then I also have a funny story, because you said about parking, ready? So my mom had her stroke, right? And first of all, she didn't believe me. But she's slurring her words. What happened when she fell on the ground? She's like, help me, Eli, I can't get up. So I pick her up, and then she starts slurring. Anyway, she doesn't want me to call 911. But I gave her the aspirin. That she took. So I ended up calling my brother, who lives in Israel. And I'm like, Ben, would you tell her? He's like, yeah, you better. Because I go, Mom, no, I'm going to drag you to the hospital. But anyway, the funny story about parking, because you mentioned parking, was, and we lived in Rancho Bernardo at the time, but I literally parked my car right up front. I don't care. Mom's like, you might get a ticket. I'm like, I don't care. I'm trying to get her into the room. So anyway, I just want to add that. But the important thing, I think, is really you should, let people know that it's important to have, an aspirin ready, available, and something you can open up, especially when, you said how the ages, your things go up different, and depending on what ethnicity or whatever you are, but they don't cost much. I don't know how much they are on Amazon, but they ain't that much money, but I'm just thinking it's something, you should add. That's all. And thank you very much for the presentation.
I'm glad that worked out for your mom. I would argue that they shouldn't have aspirin available at home, just because if it is that hemorrhagic stroke and we don't know until we have a CT, we wouldn't want to give aspirin. And also just I'm glad everything was great, but we always are careful of if their mouth isn't working, we want to make sure they're safe to swallow before we would give them anything by mouth, because it could cause pneumonia down the road.
Okay, and hold on. And I'm not arguing because I'm not the doctor. But however, first of all, I gave my mom the powder. It wasn't like she was going to choke, but hold on. But also, when we did get to the hospital, right, and I got her there in like 10 minutes. It was really close to the house. But ready, so she was out at a party that night, okay? And my mom does not drink. She doesn't smoke, nothing. She was just at an event. They all thought because she was slurring, she was wasted. I kept telling her, they weren't. Do you know how long it took them to actually finish the tests? And from what I know, if I didn't give her aspirin, she would have been dead. So, and maybe you can put a disclaimer on it, and I understand how there's two different kinds of stroke, but, and also it depends probably if you're on blood thinners or not, but I don't know, I'm just thinking it's something you, I don't know, just might want to look into, because I know it has saved people's lives. And again, like I said, I'm not the doctor, but I
And
can
most
tell you
times
from my
it will
experience.
be because of the ischemic is 85%. So most times you're not, a lot of people treat with like 3-4 aspirins before they come to the hospital. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I
Right.
just, if it is a hemorrhagic, you kind of don't know where you stand until you get that CT.
And I know you're talking about strokes, but.
Excuse me, this
doesn't
is
have-
Manager Goodsell. For point of order, this is an educational presentation, but it's not the opportunity for discussion.
Okay.
You can ask clarifying questions if you'd like, though. Thank you.
My bad.
Any other questions?
Any questions from the commissioners?
Commissioner Martin, I'd like to say thank you so much. It was a great presentation, and I love the idea of it going on the road.
Are there any more questions from the audience?
Commissioner Gaber?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for a great presentation. And having had my partner get a stroke, Val, I can tell you the combination of the Encinitas Fire Department and the emergency room was fantastic. And
Great.
there's a really good triage thing going down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love to hear, well, not that you had a stroke, but that
Well, it
the
happened- it
systems
happened,
work.
but Fine.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item 5, oral communications, possible direction to staff. Do we have any community speakers today?
Yes, for oral communications, we have 2 speakers. The first speaker is Renee Hansen from the Encinitas Library. And as a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Hi, I'm Renee Hansen. I'm the Adult Services Librarian at the Encinitas Library, and I just wanted to give you guys a few updates. One thing, last time we were here, we probably mentioned that we had a program called Internet Anywhere. That was a program, we got a grant, and we were able to give people hotspots to get internet. It was extremely popular, but the program unfortunately has to come to an end. But it was very successful getting internet into our communities. Another thing is summer is coming, and we are having our annual summer learning program that we do every year. And it's not just for kids, it's for all ages. It's a great way to get the community reading. It's great for seniors who are grandparents. They can do the summer reading program along with their grandchildren. Something else we're excited about, we just got some new furniture for the children's area. Our friends of the library bought this huge, it looks like a sailboat. It holds 4 computers that are loaded with literacy programs for kids. So it's another great activity for seniors who are grandparents to bring their grandchildren to the library and enjoy that. Lastly, I'll mention we are having computer help. On Sunday, June 9th, our high school volunteers will be giving a small presentation on technology, and then they're going to be available for one-on-one tech help. And it's always a really popular program. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
The next speaker is James Marta, with an introduction from the Public Health and Safety Commission. And as a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Not going to be a problem. Hello, Commissioners. My name is James Morton. It's currently my pleasure to serve as the chair of the Public Health and Safety Commission for the City of Encinitas. We are a new commission, I'm sure you are aware, and I'm my privilege to be in the gallery today to see what has been explained to me as a very well-functioning commission in the history of Encinitas, and really looking for ways to, bring some of that enthusiasm and what you guys do so well to what we're trying to figure out to do in the Public Health and Safety Commission. So wanted to take some time to just show you a face to my name. I'll be here in the gallery, listening intently. I will note, I think a key thing that I took away from your action plan that will be relevant to us, and at least to me, are the events that you guys will participate in. I think that's a key thing that we're trying to kind of leverage. I know we want to engage with the community, but in our action plan, we actually haven't defined how we're going to do that. And I think your action plan does a really good way of like highlighting specific things and that you want to participate in. And so hopefully I'll bring that in. So little nuggets like that, just trying to bring that into what I'm sure will be a long-standing and successful commission. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. That brings us to agenda item 6, changes to the agenda. Are there any changes in today's agenda? No.
There are none.
Agenda item 7, approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the April 16th, 2024 meeting minutes?
This is Commissioner Hanwitt. I make a motion to approve the April 16th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Okay, Commissioner Hanwitt makes the motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
This is Commissioner Martin. I give a move to accept the minutes from the last session.
Commissioner Martin seconds. We will do a touchscreen voting to approve the minutes. Oh, it's working.
Let the record show the motion passes unanimously with all commissioners voting yes, except Commissioners Angel and Koblenz, who are absent.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item 8, action items. 8A, Senior Citizen Commission Annual Work Plan. And I'd like to walk through our new annual work plan, which, by the way, was approved by City Council on the 15th of May. So let's start with work plan item 1, attended city-hosted events and programs and city-partnered events serving as city ambassadors or volunteers.
Commissioner Martin, one of the things that I would like to tell our guests out in the gallery, as far as some of the events that we attend, one of the ones that I'm the most excited about lately is the Encinitas Academy that is 7 sessions, I believe it is. Some of my other commissioners have attended it. It really gives a broad base to what's going on in the city, but really anyone can attend. My husband's actually quite excited about maybe going to one of the programs. Plus, there is dinner included too sometimes. But it really gives you a basis into the people, the functions, and quite a bit of things, and I definitely liked that. The other events that I attended were the Mother's Day Art and Garden Show, which I guess is a not sponsored but partnered event, and we certainly all appreciated the VIP event that the city had, and thank you again so much for that. And then just a little thing that Mona, that two of us went to one of the lunches that were at the community center. We were able to recognize some of the nominees and nominated people for the recent senior awards. And I wanted to make a point of doing that just because their nominations had doubled our nomination, and they're so charming anyway. So it was great to go and spend the time with them. Thank you.
Anyone else for item 1? Okay. Work plan item 2, identify guest speakers for monthly meetings. I don't know if everyone has seen this yet. This is great because, and thank you to staff for putting this together. So this is actually a schedule of the speakers that we will have lined up for the remaining meetings in our term. This is important because in the past, I think we've we've only known about a week in advance. And now we have a lineup so people can plan on attending these commission meetings if they wish. Any other updates for this?
This is Commissioner Hanwood. I would like to add Amy Stuck, who is one of the founders and the secretary of Village Encinitas, to the list. And I'm thinking February would be a good time for her to come and speak to us.
Anything else for item 2? Okay, moving on. Work plan item 3. Continue partnership with the Encinitas Rotary Club. Explore other Encinitas Service Club collaborations to recognize or promote the Senior Citizen Service Award.
Again, this is Commissioner Martin. We have had several events, and I think our chair is much more current on the commission, the session award at City Council. But there is also some more recognitions, and then following that cycle, the commissioners are going to be reviewing the process, the marketing with city staff as well, just to make sure that if there's any changes or tweaks that we want to do to make it even better next year. But again, a big thanks to everybody that promoted.
Yeah, so during a city council meeting of on May 15th, the Senior Citizen Service Award was presented, and we will have a luncheon at the Rotary Club on the, is it 29th? And we'll be presenting that award again. Okay, work plan item 4, create a new and sustaining ongoing intergenerational programming in collaboration with the Encinitas Youth Commission. No updates yet, but I think we want to talk to the commission before they're wrapping up. So we're going to have to circle around with them with the new commission beginning of the term and see about doing another Techie Tutors event. Now, that was one of our most successful collaborations. So we've only done it once or twice, we've done it a couple of times. And the reception has always been very, very positive, very similar to what we're seeing at the library now. So we'll try to revisit that again. Anything else for that item? Okay, work plan item 5. Explore a gardening partnership with the Encinitas Boys and Girls Club and gardening classes, educational workshop offerings. So right now we have TBD for the ad hoc group. I would like to participate in that.
This is Commissioner Hanwood, and I would like to be a part of that as well.
This is Commissioner Stern. I have a question about that. Is this the old folks learning from the youth, or the other way around, or is it a combination of both?
I think it's a big TBD right now. So the opportunities are there. Right now it is the Boys and Girls Club, so it's mostly youth. There are, as we have a better understanding what the Boys and Girls Club is willing to do to engage with this, we can define it a little bit better later on.
Okay. Well, I guess a two-part question, but number one, I think I'd like to be on it. Number two, though, since I have Parkinson's, I can't really do much about it, but like, for instance, I could have my wife go and help out with the whole thing. Is that something that you'd want me on the committee for? Like, I don't know if I have to like actually do the gardening, because I can't do that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's not about the gardening. It's
Okay.
actually about working out the arrangements with the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, well, I would like to be in that.
Okay?
Thank you.
Work plan item 6, support staff in creating, promoting, and sustaining new and ongoing programs for adults 50 plus at the Community and Senior Center. Any updates?
There's no update.
Work plan item 7, leverage participation in Age Well San Diego 2.0 and AARP conversations to make recommendations that can directly affect the adult 50-plus community in Encinitas. Updates?
This is Commissioner Hanwood. I did attend the May 2nd Age-Well Housing Committee meeting. They were talking about current housing efforts that they're making in the county, which were very interesting, and they have new facilities that they're coming up with. And as far as the AARP conversations and the Age-Well communities, we're still working on finding funding, but we're working hard to continue to get the support from the city, and that's just a work in progress.
Work Plan Item 8.
Commissioner Gaber?
Oh, go ahead.
Is this part of making sure that City of Encinitas gets the appropriate amount of resources compared to other districts in the county? Because I've always felt that we get underserved a little bit.
Well, I think, I think it was probably a matter of being in the right place at the right time for the other cities. And evidently, the source was the San Diego Foundation, and there was only a certain amount of money available. But there's money out there, so we're going to continue on. I don't know that they had any kind of an agenda to leave out Encinitas. I think it was just the other places were ready before we were.
Commissioner Gaber, I wonder, is that Age-Well County funded?
No, Age-Well is a kind of a project that's fostered by the AARP, but the city takes it on. So
Got
each
it.
city has their own work plan in order to make it happen.
Okay. Thank
The
you.
county has it too. The county is an Age-Well.
Yeah. it
Yeah.
was- Thank you.
You mean age-friendly?
Age-friendly, right.
Okay. Work Plan Item 8, explore grant funding opportunities based on community needs and survey results. Updates? No.
No, this is Commissioner Hanwood. We don't have any updates as of today.
Okay, Work Plan Item 9, gain knowledge on available community resources and services for adults 50-plus and disseminate information to 50-plus adults. Any updates?
Well, sorry, Commissioner Stern. Well, our group hasn't gotten together yet. I did talk to Christy, because I want to know what stuff, like, let's say, well, I already talked to her about this. But anyway, the point is, I guess on the record, I want to say, I'd like to try to speed up the way, let's say, we can get information out there. Sorry. Where I know I can talk as a public citizen. So I guess I wanted to put that on the record so I don't do anything wrong. Because I think the process takes too long, and especially, when you are a senior, you might not have access to or don't know how to use some of these resources. And I'd like to get it out sooner, like I'm sure some people read, let's say, the Encinitas Advocate or something, where,
Let me try to
Oh, yeah.
address that.
Sure.
There are things that you can do as part of the ad hoc group.
Correct, yeah.
And you can discuss amongst yourselves what you would like to do. But the goal is eventually you have to present in a public forum at these meetings, the regular monthly commission meetings.
Sure.
And that's pretty much what it is.
Okay. Which is kind of why I wanted to mention what I said. So it is out there, and I don't want to do anything incorrectly.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. Anyway, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Hanwood. So I want to give you, along those lines, a little bit of an update about Village Encinitas, which will eventually be out in the city. And not eventually, when I say eventually, I mean pretty soon, like within a couple of months. That is something that is going to provide resources for and volunteer services for all of the older adults in Encinitas. And right now has gotten to the point where the website is up and we're signing up members. So it's right now a pilot project at High Country Villas, but it will disseminate into the city before long. And it's a great way for people to get information. So we're looking forward to that.
So, and that's always been a challenge, I think, is how we, a lot of the challenges for us is we don't know what we don't know. How do we get that information? There's been a lot of effort from this commission. A lot of our commissioners have taken it upon themselves to collect that kind of information that's useful for seniors, present it in a format that's accessible. We have flyers in the community center, for example. So I would strongly suggest next opportunity you have to get together with your ad hoc group, because that's the group that does those kind of things, and talk about, kind of get a lay of the land, and then figure out what the next steps are. Come back in June and present.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'll get together with my neighbor here. She's on my committee, and we live in the same place, so, and I know all about her stuff, so great idea. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you. Agenda item 10, work plan item 10. Research best practices as it relates to adults 50-plus issues. Send letters of support to city council and commissions and follow up as needed. Any updates? No?
Commissioner Gaber, could you please add me to that ad hoc group?
There's only 3.
Oh,
We're limited to 3.
no problem.
Okay, and I'm going to direct this one to the managers, to staff. Work plan item 11, create senior citizen commission bylaws.
Manager Hamer here. We are working with the Arts Commission and the Parks and Recreation Commission to pull together either a special meeting or a special workshop with our director, and we'll work together as commissions to pull together bylaws. The Parks and Recreation Commission already has some bylaws that need updating and correcting, so we would use that as a format, and then we would take input from all the different commissions. But the goal is to do that collectively. We don't have a date for that, but we will be keeping in touch and letting you know when that will be scheduled. Thank you.
Okay, is that something that all the commissioners would be expected to participate in?
You would all be invited to attend, yes. There would not be an ad hoc for it. It would be one large workshop and or special meeting. Everybody would be welcome and invited, and it would be an open opportunity for the commissions to open up and discuss what they would like to see. The goal, though, since you are all the same commissions under one department, is that we would have some uniformity to our processes and our bylaws, and so we can be somewhat standard within the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts Department.
Okay, thank you, Manager Hamer. Okay, that takes us to agenda item 9. Manager Goodsell, do you have an operations report for us?
I sure do. Thank you, Chairlyn. So 524 meals were provided at the senior lunch program in April, and 239 one-way rides were given. The nutrition program offered a bonus activity called Stretch and Bingo on May 14th in celebration of Older Americans Month. After lunch, participants were invited to stay and play. They were guided through gentle chair stretches while playing bingo. There were 25 participants, and many came up afterwards to say how much they enjoyed the activity. There was a total of 661 non-nutrition participants registered for programs in April. Please mark your calendars for upcoming senior events, including a birthday celebration on June 7th, bingo on June 18th, and a Hawaiian luau theme party at the lunch on June 21st. The Senior Center is offering some new dance programming called Mingle and Move, and there will be a variety of music over the next couple of months, including Hawaiian music, classic rock, Saturday Night Fever 70s music, and country music. There will also be Hawaiian and country western dance lessons offered. This will encourage solo dancers to participate and have just as much fun as the couples. This program is held the third Friday of the month from 2 to 4 p.m. in the banquet hall. The cost is $7 along with a processing fee, and that is for the resident fee. There's an additional fee for non-residents. Pickleball is as popular as ever. The center is now offering pickleball lessons for beginners, level 1 and 2. Sessions are filling up and some have wait lists. Our instructor, Ron Dashwood, is helping participants learn the game, understand the rules, proper paddle position, and physical aspects of the game. The clinics are held on Wednesdays and Saturdays, starting as early as 12:30 p.m., with the latest clinic starting at 6:30 p.m. And that concludes my report for the month.
Thank you, Manager Goodsell. Manager Hamer, you have a department update for us?
First of all, thank you for all the commissioners who helped at the movie in the park. It was a great success in Glen Park on May 4th, and it really makes a difference when we have support. Cyclovia, which was just this past Sunday, was also a great success. Lots of fun, lots of little small kiddos on their bikes having a good time. And the Parks and Recreation Commission hosted a pop-up park pickleball court. I don't know if you had a chance to stop by there, but that was also a hot spot for the event. Coming up soon is a new program that just got introduced. It's for adults 55 plus, and it's in collaboration with our Traffic and Mobility Commission, our mobility manager, as well as San Diego Bike Coalition and Scripps, because Scripps brought to attention that a lot of older adults were having head trauma from biking and e-biking. So there is a free online webinar that's being hosted on Tuesday, May 21st. That's 6 to 7:15 p.m. And then they will also be hosting an in-person class at the community center. That is June 22nd from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you are going to be stepping on that e-bike, they highly recommend you learn some safety lessons. They said it's higher for older adults than it is for the youth. So I know all of us think the kids are not following all the rules and everything, and it turns out it's us adults maybe not wearing our helmets and being as safe and mindful as we should be. So I recommend that since it's our 55 plus population. Coming up as well is Music by the Sea. That is Friday, May 31st, next week, 7:30 p.m. at the Encinitas Library. Tickets are on sale now, $20 in advance and $25 at the door. That usually sells out. So if you're interested, I recommend you go online and purchase those. Some events coming up are Encinitas EcoFest. That's Sunday, June 2nd, 11 to 3 p.m. We also have a North Coast Symphony Orchestra, and they will be hosting the winners of the Youth Concerto competition, piano competition. So our arts division has been holding this competition, and finally there are 3 winners, and they will perform at the North County Symphony Orchestra performance. That's going to be June 15th, 2:30 p.m., and that is at our Encinitas and Senior Center, and it should be quite special with those 3 young pianists. We also have, just so you know, that has limited tickets, $25 for front row. General admission is $15, available online. Another event that we collaborate with is the Sustainable Solutions Fair, which is Saturday, June 22nd. That is 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we're planning for the Cardiff Dog Days of Summer. That is Saturday, July 21st, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's at Encinitas Community Park. And we did just release the summer guide. Hopefully you all received it in the mail. And I have some good news for you. For first day of registration, our adults 50 plus category did go up. It went up 72%. From 188 people to 324. So that shows a growth of engagement and activity and involvement. And we did have a surge in interest at the lunch program. And next week I'm going to meet with some of those folks who have the interest in participating in that. They didn't like that you had to register, and there were some things that they wanted to talk with us about to make it a little bit more friendly. And that also aligns with the event that Manager Goodsell brought up, was that Mingle and Move Aloha Dance Party, which we're really trying to incorporate a new style for our dances that incorporate lessons as well as just casual social interaction, so you don't feel like you have to have a partner and you can learn something new. So that's going to start June 21st, and we hope everyone can join us for that. It should be a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Hamer. That brings us to agenda item 10, commission member-initiated agenda items. Do we have any commission member-initiated agenda items today?
There are none.
Agenda item 11, future agenda items added by commission members. Commissioners, do you have any agenda items you would like to be added to the next meeting?
Commissioner Gaber, we're very fortunate that our city council has taken a lot of steps to reduce the danger of e-bikes. However, as a senior driver, I think we have a special kind of consciousness that maybe is above and beyond the usual driver because of age and reflexes and whatnot. And I'm wondering if the senior commission would be interested in exploring that and perhaps issuing some concerns to the city council about it. For example, just in the last week, e-bikes don't have front lights, inadequate back lights, driving the wrong way. And I think it would be another voice to weigh in on this really bad problem in Encinitas and surrounding communities. Thank you.
Thank you. That's actually, I think that's an important thing to talk about. I wonder if we want to fit that into our work plan. There's maybe, let me check really quickly here. Yeah, I'm thinking it could be a letter. So that would be under work plan item 10. Why don't we discuss that next month? We can start getting some ideas about how to structure a letter around that, and then we can bring it up during our work plan review in June.
I would like to, I don't know, oh, sorry.
I was going to say thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Commissioner Stern, I definitely agree with my fellow commissioner just said, but I was also thinking about what the manager over here said, and especially because they were talking about, well, both e-bikes and, I have a problem talking sometimes. Pickleball. I know it's getting extremely popular, and like my father plays, he's 81, he doesn't live here, but he's always getting injured. I live also in a senior community, and it's almost like once every 2 weeks somebody breaks an arm or something. So I also think we should bring attention to safety, literally with pickleball, because it almost seems like it's worse in a way than e-bikes, and I think they should both be addressed. So I just kind of wanted to add that. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, trying to figure out how to fit that in. Is that worth a separate discussion item? Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
This is Manager Good. So I'm not sure exactly where that fits in. We'd have to go through these work plan goals again and see if it does actually align with one of them.
And it is important to note that this was already, the work plan now was approved by council.
Yes.
So that, yeah, they definitely have to somehow fit within the plan
Right.
map.
Perhaps a presentation on e-bike safety.
Well, that's what I was thinking
And
about.
also safety for seniors in general, or fall prevention, or something, along those lines.
Commissioner Martin, I was thinking, though, you, Commissioner, were thinking about adding it to the letter, no?
No, so that would fit into the work plan,
Okay.
right? So what Commissioner Gaber was talking about, that could be turned into a letter. What Commissioner Stern is talking about doesn't quite fit into our work plan. So I'm having a hard time figuring out how we could do this. There may be something about physical fitness safety as a presentation, and maybe we could find an appropriate speaker on that.
Yeah, perhaps either physical therapy or a instructor who could discuss more the proper way of handling,
Or how to
athletics.
prevent injuries, something along those lines. We'll think about that.
Commissioner Gaber, I'm wondering if the speaker could bring some or make available some metrics about injury rates in Encinitas, so we might see, the magnitude.
Okay, and we're talking about in the context of seniors?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. So we have, I don't think we actually have new agenda items. We do have potentially a new presenter, and then we'll discuss possibility of writing a letter about e-bike safety from the context of seniors. Okay. That brings us to agenda item 12, Commissioner Reports, Roundtable, all commissioners. I will start with Commissioner Stern, if you have any announcements or reports to add, and then we'll work our way back towards the chair. Commissioner Stern?
Yeah, no, I do not.
Okay. Commissioner Martin?
I just wanted to put out there, we had somebody attending from the Health and Safety Group, and these last two items were very involved in health and safety. I don't know if there is a connection or a way to connect back to them, but I'm just putting it out there.
So they're a new commission. I would suggest that we reciprocate by visiting them and as private citizens, and we can do a little 3-minute introduction as well. Commissioner Gaber?
Commissioner Gaber, not at this time.
Commissioner Hanwood?
The only thing I would like to add is on, let me find the date, on April 25th, Commissioner Angel and I attended the AARP Age-Friendly Communities Expo in Oceanside, and that was very well attended, and it was a really interesting learning experience. They had a lot of volunteers that talked about all the different things that can happen when you become an age-friendly city.
Okay. With that, I would like to say the May 21st, 2024 Senior Citizen Commission meeting is hereby adjourned at 3:04 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Commissioners, please stick around. No?
He was in a meeting, so I don't know if he will be out on time.
Okay.
So maybe next time.
All right. Meeting.